Hey everyone, welcome back to Torment, Tides of Numenera. We are in Little Nihliesh. Inside, am I pronouncing that right? Maybe it's Nihliesh. Nihliesh, yes. We're in Little Nihliesh. Inside the Bloom.
Of course.
Which is a giant living creature that people live inside of. And when we got here, there was a little bit of a showdown between these mutants and some guards, and we managed to get them to settle things peacefully, and now we are going to meet these folks. Those humans were lucky you were there to help. Next time you won't be, and they won't be here either. Like they won't be here, or they won't be lucky. I don't get that. The stunning man in formidable garb greets you with arms wide open. His golden eyes stir strange, unbidden feelings in you. My friend, he says, spreading his arms. Welcome. I am Ain. The sound of his deep, rumbling voice makes you think of a waterfall at the rise of a morning sun. Beatific and profound. It makes you feel drunk. He talks further, but you can't really follow what he's saying at first. It's just such a pleasure to hear that voice. Then you feel a sensation like an icy finger on top of your skull, and the warmth spreading through your limbs cools. The image of the glowing waterfall cascading through your mind dries to a trickle. Ain trails off, watching you curiously. You trying to hypnotize me? No, not trying. Trying requires effort, and the effect is quite beyond my control. The effect is caused by my passion for studying the web of connections between people, even separated by words or death. Even in death, connections persist. My studies took me all over the world and into lands beyond the stars before I came to the Bloom. Here my hunger took on a more literal meaning. With careful hands, he opens his clothing, exposing a maw, one of the Bloom's sentient mouths. You sense otherness beyond it, a gateway to a place beyond this one. So he's like a human maw? I told you that my studies changed when I came to the Bloom. This is how. A maw claimed me. Now we both feed, quite harmlessly, mind you, on the connections between people. I understand the sensation can be quite pleasant. If you wish to feed us, bring a close friend to visit us. We will be here waiting. I brought an ally to feed you. No. Okay. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. This filthy old man is dressed in a motley of rags, arranged artfully to emphasize the inhuman reach of his needle-like fingers and the two protruding humps on his back, as if mutations are a source of pride. He wears smoked goggles on his forehead, parked above his transparent eyelids, and a noseless face. His teeth are small, even, and shining white. He shows them often as he smiles to himself. His pockets are filled with trinkets and baubles that he's picked up from piles of trash. Yeah, what do we have here? Who comes to disturb old Crimper? Have you come to search through this bounty with me? You're welcome to share. Share, you hear? Seems like little Nihliesh has an awful lot of trash. Aha, this is the midden for the Bloom, to be sure. I've crossed through many chambers and cavities, and none of them have this kind of refuse. We mutants do not make this much mess, and new piles of garbage appear daily. So much work. What are you doing here? What does it look like I'm doing? I dig, and I answer questions for fools. Now everything in a trash heap is trash, but wastrels abound. Why waste? Why waste indeed? Found much valuable here? Oh yeah, people lose all kinds of treasures in the trash. Unexploded detonations, blocks of metal that spark and steam with nano-spirit swarms, a marble with a cloud of insects inside, half-used healing injectors, Calaxtrian Asvale even. That brought me many shins. It's the best item he found. It was this. He fumbles around in his pockets, slapping his shapeless rags before he reaches a hidden stash and pulls something out. It's an ugly vomit green cylinder made of organic material about half the size of a forearm, covered in knots and whorls and tendrils. It looks like it might be alive. I found this a year ago. It was buried near Cotto's tank, and I would have missed it if I hadn't wriggled. Listen. He squeezes it and sets it down, and the thing begins to sing a slow, discordant tone. The device shivers and rolls around on the ground, hooting and piping through tiny mouths and its tendrils and whorls, and then issues a melancholy belch. Mouths close, and the thing ceases its movement and sound. I laugh every time. I had to shed blood for this one. Some human thought to take it from me. He drops it into his outer pockets. Okay, farewell. You ask plenty of questions about the refuse and the hidden treasures here, but not so much about finding treasures of your own. Have you ever dreamed of picking your future from the ground? I can show you. Sure. Show me what you got. Good, good. The first possession in your hands should be on your hands. A trash picker needs gloves or skin like synthstone, glass, or order or combine in these piles, and like as not some sharps will pierce your skin. You want none of that fluid in your core, child, or you'll end up like Kremper here or poor Vrong, not right between the ears. This one picked clean. See how a pile is strewn, and behold, a pile of last resort. You want those relatively undisturbed. Spend some time looking at newer piles, and you're rewarded with the pleasure of sifting through some organic goop and chemical-scented tailings, but eventually you find something that might be useful and you pocket it. Ancient Spirit Cube. Now over here, the others hit the pile quick, but not deep. You want to go deeper than the surface, but you need to go fast and careful. He shows you how to dig through the large pile quickly and safely, maneuvering around jagged chunks of broken synth, shattered strong glass, and splintered wood. At the end, you find an interesting piece, and you take that too. An Everlit. Ah, you learn quickly. You have a true gift. Come back and share some time with me, child. Having paid careful attention to Kremper's lessons, you feel that you can now locate other treasures in the trash. Oh. Well, okay.
Of course.
Let's go find some other treasures in the trash. Trash piles, blah blah blah. Something catches your eye, a glint of metal perhaps, something shiny dramatically out of place in the ooze and decay. Broken Lasker helm. Disgusting garbage pile shifts a number of times as you shove the order aside, and the metal you glimpsed remains tantalizingly distant. At last, though, you catch a broad patch of metallic surface and snatch it before the avalanche of fetid waste collapses over it. It's a helmet similar to those worn by the Laskers you have met. Interesting. So we found an Everlit. Looks like a candle with no wick. Oh no. Ow. No, I don't want to discard. Okay, in exile, if you're watching this, seriously, do not put discard item here, and don't put close here. Put close here, or close here, and discard item is a smaller button, or at least the same size. We found a flask of bloom water. Actually, I think I already had that. We found this ancient spirit cube. Okay, looks like both of these are just sellable. They're actually sellable for quite a lot of money. Okay. This looks like it's actually going to be a pretty profitable place.
Yes.
Which is hilarious, given there's a giant trash pile.
Yes.
Okay, take all.
Ready.
So we do have buildings to go into, but I'm going to save this for later. The Cantina Interior. Oh, this is the other half of the ship that we found. This is the other half of the ship that we found. So that appears to be the back end of the crashed vehicle you saw in the Momovir's courtyard. Okay, we got some young mutants. I think these two want me to die. No one who ever went into that wreck ever came out again. I heard Aran has been missing for days. We're trying to get Alopo to check out that cantina, but he's got the heart of a Dossie. There are lots of neat Numenera near the Katera when it crashed here, but all the stuff was easy to find is now gone. You know what? Let's go ahead and do this now. I was going to wait until we were finished, but nah. I mean, we are expert treasure hunters and ruin explorers. There's nothing here that, aside from the fact that there are electricity. Sir, his name is Torka Bindira. Milady, I am measuring our cross-dimensional velocity by estimating the passage of certain landmarks. But the cantina will tell you if you just ask. This is so, but if I am to retain my mental acuity, I must exercise it. If you insist, but I would rather let my servants serve. Okay. Okay, so it's possible this place is haunted.
Fine.
I can't talk to any of these folks.
I am the very soul of action.
What's up here? More stuff. Okay.
On it.
So there is still some pretty easy treasure to find.
Here comes the boredom slayer.
Yeah, I hear you. Pale blue light pulses gently. The air in this space seems charged, almost solid. The small glass control panel, apparently hovering in the air, wakes with light and fills with tiny images. You raise your hand to touch the panel. Before you touch it, ghosts materialize around you, crowding you with their intangible presence, with their need. Nearly transparent Vargellan speaks. What do you intend with this? Suffering will come if you persist. Who are you people? One of the men, his fine clothes looking slightly disheveled and stained, looks at you for a moment as if weighing whether to tell you the truth. At last he says, I am Anstol. I do not exist. I am Karadig, a merchant noble. I was on a pleasure cruise and sought to expand my business. Neither do I exist. On. These others are Torkra the Vargellan, Bindari, and her companion Methanwi. We do not exist because we are dead, crushed to death in the crash. We are projections of my memory. I am the Cantina's intelligence. These projections are the memorial of my failure to serve my passengers. Why would you create a memorial for your passengers? I retain memories of my passengers' actions. I watched them live. I felt them die within me. What else could I do but provide a memorial for them? They would have lived many more years were it not for my failure. I was endowed with a desire to pilot the Cantina, to cause my passengers to arrive safely. This is denied to me. My secondary objective is retaining the knowledge and memory of the circumstances leading up to and surrounding their deaths. This will aid in reconstructing the events of the crash and may provide solace to their survivors. Until such a time as a qualified diagnostician arrives, I cannot permit my cores to go dormant. Instead, the emotion I quantify as grief empowers my display. I have a way to give your passengers a more lasting memorial. I carry a shared mind space in my psyche. If we can link our minds, we can preserve the memories of your riders. One of the ghosts Bindari, you think, says, in your mind, none of my medical records indicate such a thing being possible. However, I concede that my knowledge is incomplete, if it is possible, but no, my duty is to keep my passengers' memories alive here. Did you know that one of your passengers survived? A woman named Kian still lives nearby. My external sensors were destroyed. Some passengers were ejected. Calculations suggested that none of them could have survived such an event. I am grateful for this information. Let's see, your power will not last forever here. Transferring your knowledge to my mind will ensure the survival of your memories. And I am very persuasive. I am going to need to rest soon. You may be correct. The loss of physical place may be rectified through a longer and more personal memory space. I carry a neural network. Let us establish a direct connection. I have the necessary tool. Place this atop your head. A few more moments and we can begin the data transfer. Place the jagged crown atop your head and attempt to absorb the Catina's intelligence into your labyrinth. I definitely need a rest soon. You place the net atop your head, and the metal cuts into your scalp. You feel coolness as the blood trickles upward into the device. Thin wires enter your peripheral vision and slip behind your eyes. Ugh. They slice into your optic nerves. Ugh. And the agony paints blossoms across your vision. Ragged shapes of pain resolve into the world around you. The world as the Catina sees it. Connection established. Telemetry, destination, access to old records, ambient temperatures. It's almost too much to process, but you manage to tamp down the overwhelming flow and relegate it to the background. One by one, the ghosts around you begin to wink out of existence. You can feel them awakening inside you. And remove the power source from the containment device. With Katina's intelligence gone, your work proceeds quietly and quickly. You slide the containment device open. Inside the glowing blue tube, you see a rack of 10 cylinders. 9 of them are cold and inert, but one of them hums and blurs. A barely perceptible vibration as it fades into and out of this reality. You gently remove the clamps that hold the powered cylinder in place. The lights wink out. A deep, almost ultrasonic moan ripples through the Katina's walls as the power within the tubes and wires flickers away. An alien voice babbles something over a small speaker near the control panel. You are left standing in darkness. Everything around you is quiet and still. Okay.
All right.
We found some more stuff. And yeah.
You won't notice I'm gone.
Those kids suggested that people had entered here
On
and
my
never
way.
left, but I don't see any sign of I do not see any sign of any kind of violence or any bodies or anything. So maybe they're just kids telling stories.
Yes. Happy to help.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so we discovered that. Actually, let's take a look at what we just found. We found another oddity. Again, not going to click discard. Cloak of deepest purple. And we found... the power source is actually a quest item, so I don't think we have a quest for it, but we're going to get one. Okay.
All right.
Did I see somebody up here? I thought I did. Crumper? Ranges on. Oh, here we go. Wander. He's kind of transparent. As you approach this bulk of stone and fur, it starts to move, becoming less an inanimate object and more of a man. Before you stands a giant figure with a beard so thick it seems like sculpted granite. But when you see his gentle eyes, a tangible wave of peace washes over you. I am happy to see you, Adan. You've been gone too long. I'm not the man you think I am. Alagern grunts but doesn't comment on your words beyond that. Gentle confusion crinkles the mutant's stony brow, making a sound like boulders shifting against one another. It is me, Adan, Wandar. Perhaps it has been too long. Perhaps you do not remember me. I told you I'm not Adan. You do not have to spare my feelings, Adan. You must help many people. It was foolish to think you would remember me. You have returned, Adan. Can I help you in any way? How are you? Better than before we met. Then there was a sadness in me, rage and sadness, fed by my many thoughts, but you found the stranger inside me and took it out. Since that day, I've found peace. What is the stranger you mentioned? I do not know, but it entered my head in the accident. It was heavy like a golden stone. It made my thoughts faster, but sharper. They made me sad, they made me angry. But you told me you could help. You took out the device, took away the dangerous thoughts, leaving me calm. You said you had more use for thoughts than I did. What were the thoughts? They are so hard for me to remember now, but it was my voice. You should not have left them, it said. They are gone because of you, it said. You must learn from this, it said. But when I tried to learn from my thoughts, they increased. They shouted. They would not leave me alone. What is this? I don't... Okay. I do not care to open that guy's maw.
Let's do it.
I'm not going to go and sacrifice somebody just because I might open an interesting place. You know, one thing that I've noticed is they go and they... some of these characters, they have really interesting descriptions. But when you actually look at them, they kind of just look like normal people. Like Crimper here, he's supposed to have like, you know, like weird growths, you know, on top of him, and I don't see that. I don't know. Anyway.
Yes.
Okay, who are you, buddy? Oh, buddies. Mutant guards. Who's this? Oh, this is Cotto. He's the leader of this place. You stand before a painted spherical tank, fashioned of metal and synth. The paint is old and cracking. Inside the tank is a murky liquid, or perhaps thickened gas, and every so often you see a motion from a fluke, flipper, or strangely deformed arm within. Cleverly disguised grill on the front of the tank squawks out the distorted voice of the tank's occupant. It buzzes and moans, drawing out some words and shortening others in a burst of static. I am Cotto, a prince of the Fahat and the delegate here in Nihliesh. You have my gratitude for averting the violence with Memavira's soldiers, but I must know, why did you act? Violence wouldn't have helped anyone, and it might have had greater repercussions. Cotto is silent for a moment, an admirable sentiment human, one that appears to be more and more difficult to maintain given the recent troubles plaguing us. Violence is in the air, change comes for us all, but the Memavira does not seem to grasp this truth. The flux in the bloom, and thus the Memavira's weakness, is apparent in the instability of the maws we use to trade and transport. The old maws are closing, and the new ones open to take their place. There is a new maw here in Nihliesh, one I would like to see opened, but the Memavira refuses to aid me. She won't even leave her fortress. But I have said enough. What would you have of me? Looking for two thieves named Delny and Vrong. I was told I could find them here. This is their home, yes. At the moment they are hiding at the end of an alley. What was the proximate cause of the fight between... Actually, what can you tell me about those two? Young mutants, though not the best of our kind. Delny possessed a great empathy, a psychic reverberation, while Vrong's powers were more subtle. Delny has changed since her association with Vrong, who has always been dangerous, troublesome, perhaps. As long as they do nothing harmful to our people, I do not act, but I will not hesitate should that situation change. Okay, what was the proximate cause of the fight between Memavira's guards and your people? The bloom no longer favors the Memavira. The bloom is the source of the Memavira's power. If she has no power, the obligation to pay for her protection has vanished. We pay for reality, not promises. Perhaps our people have grown too tired of the humans talking. That's a good point. So why are the maws changing and closing? Do you ask for my knowledge or my conjecture? If the first, then I must confess my ignorance on the second. If the second, I believe the bloom has a feeding cycle. It is an enormous organism, you know, and I suggest that these events are part of a larger pattern. Perhaps the bloom is preparing itself for a new Memavira. Let's see, where do your people come from? Our home is the city of Nihliesh, in the steadfast beyond. My cousins of the Fahat rule over a 3-tier city wisely and well. When a maw portal opened in Nihliesh, we investigated to see if we could eke out a profit. We saw enough possibility that our explorers sent for me, a minor prince of the Fahat. I was to head this trade embassy. I did not think the maw would close behind us, but 10 years ago it did. Interesting. Tell me about the Steadfast. You ask muster of me. I can only tell you what I have heard, for our glorious city is in what they call the Beyond. The Steadfast is a collection of kingdoms, principalities, and other lesser denominations of feudalism, held together through the dictates of their religion, the Order of Truth. The Adan priests of the Order have spread their faith far and wide. I hear they have even established a foothold in the city of Sage's Cliffs. Tell me more about Nihliesh. The city was once a machine, a colossal device that creates churn. We built atop the machine, creating elaborate structures of impossible architectures, and our city grew into the sky. The great and powerful of Nihliesh live among the fluted spires and arcing byways, with powerful cars lifting us to the skies in a moment. The shops and palaces of our people, alas, to think that I might die away from my home. Oh, let's see. Do you want the Memavira's place? His laughter spills out into a staticky hiss. I do not desire such a responsibility, nor do I seek the attentions of the bloom. Yep.
I'll remember that.
I wouldn't either. In case word has not reached your ear, I am offering a bounty to the first who can open the newborn maw and tell me what lies on the other side. Of course, the first step is to discover what the maw wishes to eat. Without that knowledge, it cannot be opened. I'll look into it. And there are 2 statues here. Okay, what do we got?
Doing it now.
Okay. Spherical tank. Okay, here's Delnian Vrong. I am really, really low on just about everything right now. Is there anything I can do about that? Tell you what, I want to deal with these 2, but just on the off chance that we have to, I kind of feel like we've been here for a while. So let's, I'm gonna head back. Which is funny because we're actually about to do what this woman asked us, but I'm gonna head back to the inn area. Or to the lady that had the inn.
Fine.
And, gonna see if we can rest up a little bit.
Fine.
Right? Vast interior.
I'm ready.
And Cora? I think Cora is her name. The woman that actually crashed on that ship that we just investigated. Okay, she is some refugees. Kian. Okay, I'd like to sleep here, if you don't mind. 65 shins each. Eesh. Sure. I'll bring you a meal shortly. It's not much, but it's food. And you sleep well tonight. Wow.
Good.
Okay. Well, we will not be doing that again. That was expensive.
I'm ready.
Did not actually realize that was going to be quite so expensive. Or I might not have done it. Seems like here in the Bloom, the best thing that you could buy is like a tent. And you could just like plop down. Set some guards up. Okay, am I even going to the right place? No, I'm not.
All right.
Or I'm going to the right place. I'm just taking the very long way around. Walks without fear. There we go.
All right.
So then we will go and talk to those 2 thugs that were beating up Kian when we first got here. And it sounds like from what we just heard that one of them is bad news and one of them is not quite such bad news, but we'll figure it out anyway. This slim girl is almost a mirror of the boy who stands next to her. They could be twins or clones, so close is their resemblance. You see that her features are sharp, though shadows flit and play too closely with her face to be sure of anything else. She slumps almost imperceptibly inside of her cloak of darkness. As you open her mouth, her companion interposes himself.
Remember that.
This sharp-faced young man reminds you of a great rodent, more prone to scampering and sliding than running or walking. Shadows play across his face, distorting his features, and you are unable to get a clear glimpse of his face. Even so, or perhaps especially because of it, he seems to bear a notable resemblance to the young woman standing next to him, their faces shifting and changing in near perfect time. At your approach, he sniffles loudly and drools some phlegmy spit across your path. He wipes his mouth with the back of his hand, and though you can't see his face, his tone conveys the sneer clearly enough. What do you want, Papa J? His voice echoes eerily, a slight delay between the movement of his lips and the sound reacting to your ears. The pair that's been harassing Kian. What, has she been complaining that we're too mean, too scary? She can afford it, else we'd be visiting someone else more regularly. Who's the girl with you? For the briefest moment, you think you see the face of a victim in her shadows. She casts a despairing eye on you, and then the darkness fills her face with a sneer. Her? She's no one. I'm wrong. As to the girl is. Said she's no one for you to be concerned about. She's my shadow and my hidden blade, and you should take care I don't stick you with her. I heard that she used to be different. What have you done to change her? You can see the woman's mouth a plea before the shadows swallow her features again, and then her hostile sneer returns. Why do you keep asking about her? Delny's mine, and she will stay mine until I say otherwise. I'm the one who's interesting. I'm the one you should care about. His rage seems to have loosened his control over his companion, for you see a flash of blue skin beneath the shadows. Her mouth works frantically as if she's trying to tell you something while her captor struggles with his fury. With the effort of visible will, he brings himself and her back under control again. Your psychic bond you have on Delny, remove it. He laughs. She's mine. She'll go on my word, not yours. Okay. If you don't let her go, I will teach you what suffering truly is. I'm not as good as intimidation as some of these others. Although, that actually might not be the case. Shoot. 45% is not great, but it's enough. The young man opens his mouth for a sarcastic comeback, but realizes that you might be serious. He holds his hands up to placate you. All right, one moment. He concentrates, or rather doesn't concentrate, and the shadows flow away from his face and his body. He's a much scrawnier person than you thought, almost gaunt, and he doesn't look at all dangerous or menacing.
I'll remember that.
He slinks towards the exit quickly and quietly, vanishing around the corner. Delny drops to the ground as he vanishes, and her body begins to tremble and shake. Try to help her remain calm. Aligern's good at healing. Yeah. We're gonna let Aligern do this. Her eyes snap open in blind terror, seeing any refuge from the nightmares that seem to be replaying in her head. She sees you then, and she begins to relax immediately, her muscles unclenching one by one, and she eases out of her seizure. Thank the gods you're not wrong. The shadows have peeled away, drifting into the air like poisonous smoke and revealing Delny's true form. Her skin is an iridescent blue, and her hair is bright pink. He's really gone. I can't feel him in my mind. You did it. Fahat be praised. You did it. She shakes her head as if to clear it. A small trickle of bluish blood runs from the corner of her mouth, where she bit her tongue on her lips. I don't know how to thank you. You must have questions. So, what about yourself? I was born here, and my parents were good people. I learned the walkways of the second tier by heart. That's how I discovered the portal to the Bloom. I kept seeing the traders who came back from there, and they always had such interesting wares. One day I snuck after them. I wanted to see where they came from. That was the day the Bloom closed the pathway to my home. I used to think it was my fault, but the Bloom doesn't seem to care for me now. After I got here and discovered I couldn't get home, I had to find a way to survive. I found 5 families who were willing to help me and who could afford to feed me once every few days. I helped them when I could and kept looking for a way home, but as I got older, I needed more excitement, and then I met Vrong.
I'll remember that.
It was my psychic power that drew him to me. He saw what I had. He wanted to take it, use it for himself. He called me an empathic amplifier. I could read people, and I could make their feelings stronger. He used me to find out who the scared people were, and then we preyed on them. How'd you fall in with Vrong in the first place? He seemed dark and fascinating. The adults didn't want me to go near him, but he was like a mirror of what I wanted to be, strong, mysterious, ambitious. I let him bend me and use my powers to make him more of what he wanted to be, and I didn't realize I was trapped until it was too late. I've had quite a time of it. How are you feeling? Even though I'm still in the Bloom, even though we're still surrounded by all this, even though I need to make amends to everyone I robbed and bullied with Vrong, I feel hopeful. Feels like a new beginning, like the night has been peeled away and discarded. There's a new maw in Little Nihliesh. Can you use your metal powers to find out what it wants? I could, I suppose, but I need to get very near. I need to get near the maw to build a proper rapport with it, and I don't think that's a very good idea. No. Farewell. Fahad be with you. Okay.
Go.
Ooh, more loot. Ooh, concentrated spray flesh. Spray flesh.
Consider it
Okay. So let's see. Oh, this must be the new mall that they keep talking about. Okay, well, let's talk to this person here. Herja. Hello. The striking woman towers over you. Though she seems gaunt and her skin is pale, even whitish, she still has a healthy glow that shines through a layer of dirt and grime. A flat circle of metal is affixed to her forehead, showing through her long blonde hair. At your approach, she begins to flex in tense, not in fear, but in preparation to fight. Her heavy armor is scarred by energies and battered by blades, but it seems to have retained its integrity. The sigil of 2 crossed swords is etched into the breastplate. Have you come to beat the poor prisoner? Then be ready to tell your friends about the day Herja bested you. Or have you come to question me? Tell Cotto that my answer is unchanged. He can rot in his soup. I would appreciate an honest soup. The food they provide here would shame a Murden. I have no idea what you're talking about. My apologies. I've been in this place too long and I am leaping to unwarranted conclusions on the basis of no evidence. So, you want to ask me something? What are you doing here? These mutants have accused me of a crime. They tell me I must confess to this imaginary horror before they will let me go. So I sit, rotting away, while they ask me to choose between truth and my freedom. I choose to honor the truth. The exit is over there. You could easily overpower the mutants. Why don't you just leave? Prince Cotto has cast a spell on me. Here, let me show you. She steps towards you, reaching a hand out to grasp your shoulder, but before she can touch you, her fingers begin to bend as if they had encountered an invisible wall. You see? But in case you think I jest with you, she hurls herself at you shoulders first and rebounds dramatically, staggering backward. I'm confined to this space until I confess. Test it here yourself. Okay, I believe you. So, why? What are your allegations? Mutants claim that I poisoned them. A number of them have died, and they decided I was to blame. That is all they are, allegations. Cotto has no right to imprison me. So why are they suspicious of you? You know, some of these conversations, I think they just are trying to make me spend all my points. So seriously, with my tremendous intellect powers and persuasion abilities, plus 20%, plus 15%. The base difficulty is 0. Okay, see, I don't get this, because this looks like I should have 35%. But the final difficulty is 0. Okay, so there's no penalty. Level of effort 1. Skill precision, that should be 35%. But it's saying that I get 0%. I don't know, that seems broken to me. Okay, Farewell, Herja. Okay, what I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna use my flex skill for persuasion.
Feels like everything's going to be alright.
Let's try talking to her again. Tell me about the allegations against you. Persuasion. Yeah, I think that's just... there is something wrong there. This should be 50%. That's weird. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to reload in the hopes that it fixes this little issue. But in the meantime, I think this is also a good place to stop. So I'm going to go ahead and log out, and we'll start the next episode next time I log in. Anyway, it looks like we are almost done here with Little Nihliesh, although we have a maw to check out. And when all that is done, then we'll be moving on to the next area. So, For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you soon. Take care.